live.
Excuse me.
I should probably turn the audio. I need to mute my stream and turn the desktop audio down a bit. Sorry if you can hear that on stream. Adjust the closed captioning, which is actually showing. And don't mind me. Oh yeah, commercials. I should run that. So commercial, maximum length. There we go. Also, I'm pretty sure if I scheduled it correctly, let me double check. Oh yeah, I actually do have... Oh wait, no, it's already published. The next one is tomorrow. I do have a couple more Stardew Valley gameplay streams, well, recordings going live. Okay, so there. Upload there. Don't mind me, I'm just kinda, sorta, but not really clickbaiting people on... Let's see how long it takes to go through. And meanwhile, TikTok, you're being a bitch. And that's technically a cuss. Oh, there it is. Okay, I'll have my phone on hand. I put it to the side. Okay, posted to Blue Sky. And gonna post it to Discord. Dun, 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 dun.
Come on.
2 beans? Why 2? Oh, because live and because the short. Duh.
Oh, for fuck's sake. That's a cuss on my end, sorry.
Doesn't count when it's you. You cuss all the time. I cuss never. My virgin mouth is rarely sullied.
I love how you said my virgin mouth. Excuse me.
Is there self-advertising? Nope, not this one. I'm going through all of the places with the peeps to let people know that, hey, I am streaming.
Yep.
Does this place have a... It does, but I do not have permission. This place have... And I am sorry that there's no music. It's for the best, trust me. Although, I guess I could go to the loading screen. The loading screen has music. 5, 4... Well, I shouldn't give a countdown like that. It's gonna take an eternity to load. I should remain tabbed in while it's loading. Okay, there we go. And I apologize. The loading music is probably going to be too loud, so I'm talking a lot louder because I have a need to. Because, you know, when it's louder like this, I have to speak louder in order to actually be speaking over the loud menu music. Oh, it does. Here we go. Oh, but I don't have permission. And I apologize, you are going to get a ping for that. This place doesn't have a self-promo, but at the same time I'm going to post it there anyway.
Here. What the heck? What the heck? Fortnite, can't swear.
Anyway, I think I've told everyone I can. Like, I've posted it everywhere I can. So, oh, let's see. This way. That way we're both kind of in frame. Okay. So, hi. It's technically the same day that I normally stream, but it's also the time that I normally would be ending stream as the time that I'm starting stream, so oh well. So, probably won't be too many people showing up. A lot of the people that normally would be showing up would be asleep. But this is really loud, so I'm going to be showing the game for a moment so I can tab in to where the music is not this loud. So I don't have to be talking this loud in order to be talking over the music, essentially. Like, you probably heard me say none of that. So let me actually load into the game, which will take a while because mods and also OBS, so it's a challenge to not crash the game each time. My wife is playing Fortnite. Hey, in our case, 'tis the season to be receiving gifts. Because if we don't, we're kinda screwed. Oh yeah, speaking of, I should actually pin support command. Normally I pin the driving command. Wait, what?
But this is different.
Why didn't that post a message? Exclamation mark. Done. Exclamation mark. Support. What? Oh, you're okay. It seems that Nightbot, despite having been here earlier, is at this very second down. I'm gonna check the community. Yeah, it's here in chat. So it did a part of the cuss counter earlier.
I saw it.
Yeah? Like, all Nightbot command. Oh! It's just delayed in. That's a messy one. Oh, it took a while, so I'm gonna stream elements. I'm gonna make a new more succinct version of that.
Hell to the no, no, no.
And fund me, copy link. There we go. And I'm gonna pin that. Manually unpin. And I'm gonna hide it for myself. Alright, there we go. Okay, so you can see the game. It's got music going for at least a moment. Music isn't blaring, so... Hi, hello. Welcome to anyone who ends up viewing this. So, like... Basically, the stream both is and isn't clickbait in title because as it could in fact be the last stream ever, circumstances depending. Obviously, I don't want it to be. It's just that,
We're being fucked.
yeah, basically that. Like our apartment is like doing everything shady. Gave us an eviction. Several different types of eviction notices, by the way. Not just one type, several different types. Constantly, every single day, a different type. Every single day, a different one. And they're violating state law by not letting us have a payment plan. They're basically doing everything to
get us out of here.
Yeah, and like we're working on getting a new place, but we haven't finalized everything yet. Like we're hoping to do that tomorrow, essentially.
Yep.
And like big things we need right now. Legal help. We're pursuing that as we can to, if push comes to shove and we have to like fight legally, that we can. And if we can get out of here or in
before
then,
the 18th.
Yeah, then we need like either volunteers to help us move and like we can help like pay for food and gas and stuff, but can't really pay
literally
much.
What like I've talked about with free and like private is like if any Washingtonian friends want to come stay and help us like move,
like
you get free lodging.
Yeah,
all
like,
you have to do is literally just clean your dishes, buy your own groceries, and pay us for gas. Well, and if you use anything of ours, replace it.
Yeah. Well, basically, like anything that like we can cover a lot and we can help a lot, but at the same time, like we like it's that or we get movers, which are more expensive.
Our car doesn't have a hitch for a U-Haul trailer.
Yeah, but you can rent a U-Haul truck.
But that's also expensive.
Yeah, it's more expensive, but also still less expensive than movers. So like.
And if we're like in between places right now, we'll have to have money for a hotel.
And like we don't have that money, so like if
we'd have to board Parker with our vet.
Again, we don't
have the money for that.
Yeah, so
even
like
with me working right now.
Like we're both still working through this all, through the eviction process, through us trying to get a new place, and it's bill after bill essentially, and like.
But they don't want our money. Whatever we can give them, they don't want.
Except they do want our money because they're still asking for the full price all at once, and they're tacking on, like, they want to tack on charge after charge for us leaving. So, like.
So anything, like, we can do cleaning-wise to reduce charges.
Yeah, and, like, anything we can do to get, like, help for, like, supporting us, like, right now, like, the next week, like, it's probably going to be a struggle for a lot of things, including potentially food. So, like, we need all the help we can get in all of the forms right now.
Yep.
But, in the meanwhile, this is basically one final hurrah of just vibing and playing games, like.
Unless you can help us get out of here.
Yeah. And like
before the 18th, though, preferably.
I think that for my stream, I did day 1 on stream, but I don't think I did day 2 or 3 on stream.
No, I think you did those in videos.
Yeah. And those videos are coming on, like one video has already posted. Yeah, just today actually. It's on my YouTube. Oh, probably a cutscene. Oh, nope, no cutscene. Hi there, done randomly. I don't recognize your username, but did you change your name? Like you've been following me, but I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember your name. Did you change your name? So, how have you been riding your new horse around? I imagine you're pretty sore, but you'll get used to it soon. Oh, don't worry. Nope, you just don't always show up? Ah, okay. As that keep treating, I'll be excited to meet your new animals. Are you satisfied with your barn? I'm sure you'll raise some very happy livestock in there. I've been just going through all of the things. So, for animals, we've got cat, who I need to find and pet. Where is she? Is she still inside? No, she's outside. The problem with having a gigantic farm is finding the animals. Oh, there she is. Oh, I guess it is automatic. I've got my horse I named E Quest Ryan. I can see the light leaving your eyes.
Well, trust me, it's not because of the fun. It's because all my games have been sucky.
Then for chickens, we've got Hen Nana and then Hen Tai.
You know, it's funny, I knew about those ones.
Mm-hmm. For cows, we've got Dairy Goodwin. And then we've got Moo Moo.
Excuse me.
For ducks, we've got Duck You and Dr. Quack. Well, in this case, it's Dr. Quack studied at Duck University. Officially. That's the official story. Then we've got a new animal for the mods is camels. So we've got Camel Casey, and then we've got a camel named Humphrey.
Oh, wait, that's cute.
And then we've got, also new to mods is geese, and we've got one that was naturally named Boo Boo, so
did you name one Lucy?
No.
Because Lucy Goosey?
That would have been a good one, but at the same time, I decided to name one Untitled GG.
I still have to finish that. It's in my game library.
And the other one was naturally had a default name of Boo Boo, so I just added an LA in front for La Boo Boo.
I want a La Boo Boo so bad.
Well, if you were to ever co-op this farm, which you can technically do, you could have La Boo Boo.
No, you don't understand. I want the cute little figure.
Then I've got a goat, which I named Ed with sauce. Goat Ed.
I got it, yeah.
And then there's a goat named Billy. For pigs, I've got...
Black Phillip?
I've got a pig named Hamtaru.
I loved Hamtaru. It was such a big cartoon.
And then I've got a pig named Truffle Maker.
Oh, I get it. What?
I've got a lot of rabbits that are just there to, like, make their products. Hi, Ark. Last stream
Hi,
ever.
Ark.
Well, it might be the last. Well, it's almost certainly the last stream at this place. It might be the last stream ever, or if life circumstances do not align and things fall apart and go from bad to worse. Like, things are not good right now, essentially. Nope. Prepping to go to the office, dear. I hope you have a good day at work. Hope your hubs are doing well. Yeah,
well, do you want the truth or do you want a lie? Because...
Yeah. Things are not good because, like, our apartment complex is screwing us over, doing all kinds of shady stuff, and we haven't really been able to fight back against it, even though, like, they are violating the law. It's just that...
They think just because they're a different company, they don't have to follow state laws.
Pretty tough. Thank you. Like, I assume you're referring to what I'm wearing, or, like, yeah. I don't have my game screen up, so I assume it's what I'm wearing. Hope things will be okay, dears. Yeah.
Well...
We're working on it, like...
We only have till the 18th to be out of
here.
Or they're going to charge a termination fee and apparently put us on a do not rent to list.
Mm-hmm. Hope things will be... Oh, I just read that. World sucks. I know.
Work sucks. I know.
Thank you, love. You got the reference.
I did.
Hugs to you too, Art. Yeah, there's... For bunnies that are not just rabbit, just there for farming, we've got one named Chloe, after my system mate. And then we've got another one that I just named Harry.
Aww.
As in H-A-R-I-R, Harry. It should actually be H-A-R-E-R-Y, but oh wait. Oh well. And I've got a couple of sheep, one named Wake Up, and the other named Vote Me.
Oh.
As in Wake Up.
I thought you were like sheeple, Wake Up.
Yeah, Wake Up Sheeple. And then the other one, Vote Me, which is like sheeping. Okay. So...
Why is the circle so far away?
Let me check when the release date is. So, on the 13th, you'll see a video release of me having built this, which is a lot of bonus stuff. This place I'm going to fill with sheds to have that area walled off. But first, Robin's gotta finish upgrading my house. I think I also set up... Should hop on my horse because that's faster. Wee! Ooh, Tropius in chat! Exclamation mark. Pokecatch if you're playing the Pokemon community. You got to go now, dear. We'll try to come back once you get to the office. All good, Art.
Have a safe trip to the office.
Plus a bot.
Nor.
I think I also... Yep, I set this up, but I didn't put anything in. Wait, I think I... Oh, because I wanted to be able to move. Yeah, that's... And I set up... Just writing... Okay, so the... Oh, that tree's regrown. Poink, poink, poink. I set up the shed, and I'm gonna test. Yeah, I don't think you can actually cut any of these trees, even though the shed has been repaired. Yeah, it's all just background stuff. Can't really interact with any of it. Oh well. But I did set up this shed, again, not putting things in. I put the greenhouse up here. So let's try to play this day 4 properly. There's any number of ways you can start. Oh, and we've got an ad break incoming. Let's actually start going in there. There's nothing in there. I'm gonna actually start that ad break now. So ads in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There. Okay. And for those that don't know, I do not like ads.
Oh, come on, dude.
I would not have ads if I could. It's just that Twitch does not offer the option to disable ads. Yeah. I try not to do anything important during ads. So, like, right now I'm just making some small talk. People here seem nice, but they avoid me. People are afraid of the unknown. And, like, I'm mostly doing this to show off, like, well, explore / show off the, like, expanded content of the mods. So, like, that's technically content that I was showing from talking to Linus, but at the same time, it's also pretty standard. It's stuff that everyone should be doing daily when they're first playing, because Linus is a treasure that needs to be protected at all costs. Oh, right. I should also... Is there a trash can up here? I don't think there is. I do see worms, which are disappointing. Yeah, they were just a pile of clay. Still laid claim to them, though. Alright, that's up here. I've also gone and explored the bus area.
Oh, that's sad. I want to get this skin. It looks so dope. I'm going to get this bundle. Excuse me.
And I'll be chopping down these trees after I've actually finished terraforming by basically... Oh, are these?
And just know that, like, if at some point we end up cutting streams for it, it's because it just got too hot in here. We'll try to go for a while, but... Who knows? Not to self-promote on your stream. I will probably be streaming tomorrow if I end up staying home.
Ooh, got me some new ideas to sleep on. Oh, and Love, you just said that during an ad break, so...
Oh, I did. That's right.
You might want to say that again.
Okay. So, again, not to self-promote on my wife's channel, but, like, I might do...
You absolutely can, by the way.
I might potentially do, like, my last stream ever, too, tomorrow if I stay home. But no guarantees. So... we'll see.
And right now I'm going through what is clearly a very expanded secret woods, which I can justify by having, like, anyone who can theoretically buy both coal and I think this area is not like, I think this area is a farm in that it's not things that regrow, it's just an overgrown place. Like, you can't actually hoe anything. But I don't think these are preset spawns. I think. Okay, you can actually use the hoe in here. I don't think these trees have set place, so I probably could chop them all down. But at the same time, look at the size of this place. Seems like more trouble than it's worth.
Well, I mean, you married me. Do you still think that?
You're always worth it, love. And you're not trouble. Look, I don't see any slimes over there.
Really?
Hi, Kim! Fastest fuck, fastest fuck. Hi, I love you both. Love you too, Kim. It's good to see you. And thank you for popping in. Uno reverse. No, you.
Fortnite.
Yeah, Kelsey's Fortin in the night. While I play the Dew. Because I am a star, obviously.
In my eyes, you're a star.
Mm-hmm. I already bought all of the hats that are currently available.
I'm shooting and pooping.
Okay, so trash bin. Got to gather all of the trash.
You're gathering me?
No, I'm gathering myself.
Hey! No. Bad.
Yeah, it is bad when you call yourself trash, so don't do it.
Fell. I fell.
Help, I've fallen and I can't get up. Okay, I think there's also... There we go. Fort Newton, yep. Had to pitch free on the new season of Fortnite, so there's bugs that make it feel like Starship Troopers. Mm-hmm.
Power Rangers! Power Rangers!
And not gonna lie, those Power Rangers are mighty tempting.
You should play. And then give me V-Bucks. You get your own V-Bucks. And then we can buy the Power Rangers.
Get it, mighty? Oh, this is a place you can. So you can.
This is better.
Okay, so what? Okay, so normal trees have the wood, which means the other trees have the stone flooring. Okay, bricks. I gotta brick this place up to help signify that I can in fact harvest those. And yes, we're getting all bricked up.
Well, that's not good. I don't want to get bricked up. It hurts tum.
Hi Evie, welcome on in. Mostly going to be lurking since you're still pretty tired, but just want to say hi. All good, Evie. I know that you're being hit with your monthly exhaustion period, essentially, because, you know, bodies are unkind to a lot of people, to half the population for half the year. Well, for
the entire year, once a month. Ah! Run away, please. Leave me alone.
There we go. I'm probably gonna get full inventory before I finish going trash can to trash can, but I'll get as much as I can. Oh, right. Quest. Oh yeah, one of the things, you can pet Dusty. You give Dusty mini pets. Okay, so there. So that's pocket catch. Done those trash cans. You know, since my inventory is full, I'm just gonna warp to my farm and then go back, because I know that.
Shockwave grenade come in handy.
Put those there. Nothing else like that. Normal quality. Any other normal quality? Yeah, these. Silvers. Gold. Where should I put? Okay, so I'm putting artifacts here apparently. And these are gonna have duplicates, where I'm gonna put more in later, obviously, but at the same time, for now. Oh yeah, I can cut the hardwood on my farm. I need to torch this place up. I still have a lot of the terraforming to do for my farm because, like, see how this place has some torches? It needs to have all of the torches. Alright, warp to blacksmith, which is close enough. Guys, I put equestrian here. Whee. Oh. I was not expecting to be able to cut that, so...
But you did cut it.
We're gonna mark that as... There we go. That probably means I can cut those, as these ones too, but at the same time I'm not gonna. Georgia had its trash can removed for whatever reason, so... "5 hours of sleep isn't quite enough for a full day of work."
Yeah, I wonder,
Well, back at it. 5 hours is how much I get every single night. Generously. It can be less. Can I cut them ones here? Nope.
I've never made it this far.
I can, however, cut the ones here. Light keeps shining, my heart's keeper's hook. It's calling follow. Good for you. Also, I did not know I could enter your house at any time. Or that this was your house. But oh well. Now I do. Let's see how many of these places we can go into. Is there a house over here? If I recall correctly, yeah, there's a garbage can here. And there's one here. Oh, I guess I can.
I'm in the top 10.
Top ham.
You're a nerd.
Stardew meta shaming us all. Mm-hmm. Dude. I imagine I'm not. Yeah. Can go in here. But there's nothing to be seen.
How did I do that?
Munchington insists that you scratching behind his ears. He rewards you with a purr. some places actually do have hours. It's just not all of them. Why, yes, you are.
You know what I mean? Shit.
And yeah, it's like 80 in here.
Yep. Which, it's always cooler in the mornings, and then it fucking... For August, it's pretty hot.
Mm-hmm. This place does have infant berries. I'm not really sure why, but it just does.
Whoa. That.
I imagine I could probably cut down a lot of this stuff, but I'm not going to right now.
I think for a minute I'm gonna go sit in the bedroom because it's cooler. So for now, let's stop in the sit right here on the media tab. On the
Okay.
Woo.
I think that's all of the trash cans and all of the... Hi, introvert! Welcome on in. It's good to see you. And I know, I haven't been streaming often. Like, current life circumstances have sucked majorly, essentially. And things are not yet better. We're fighting so hard to try and make them better, but they are not yet better. I got those already. So, like, right now, this stream is basically a potential one final hurrah, essentially, of just vibing while relaxing and talking about how the life circumstances are not good. Put the wood up there, hardwood here. I need to actually put the life stuff there. Yep. And I'm sorry that those commands are a little bit bulky. But at the same time, that's what the pinned message is for, is basically it's the same thing but more succinct. Because there we go. I hear my wife in the background. Okay. Time flows as normal, but let's warp to the mines, which I can do because adventure's not really anything interesting. So let's just bomb this area. Whee. Turned out I didn't need to bomb it because the enemies would have given me the entrance, but oh well. Right now we're basically killing time waiting for things. In the town to open up, so like things tend to open in the 8 to 10 period, so I'm keeping an eye on the time to basically have more villagers be out and about. Ooh. Exclamation mark. Pokecatcher for playing the Pokemon community game. And we've reached the sucky part of the mines. Nobody likes these levels. They always skip them if they can, given the options. Still nothing. Oh, there's an entrance right there. And I'll freeze time and leave after I get to 10 o'clock. There. I'm freezing time just before 10 so that places that have specific interactions before 10 aren't locked out. We do have an ad break incoming. That's another reason for it. I'm just gonna bomb this area. I know that it will destroy the quartz, but oh well. I don't care. Ooh, Omni-Geode. Alright. Commercial time, so commercial 500. Nothing new should happen in the like, basically, if you've played Stardew, you know what's in here. So, like, I'm just gonna... There you go. Sorry that I'm having a tough time. Yeah. Yeah. It's basically... just a system working as intended on neurodivergent queer person. Which is to say, working on a disabled fucking amount of resources that I ought to have, and the struggle which entails basically to the bottom, reach the bottom of the mines. Seaweed, quartz. We're gonna warp the farm. We're gonna put the slingshot with the other stuff. Sort. I feel like slime should go in here. Oh, because it already is. Slime and bug meat? That stuff belongs up. Omni-Geode, that goes up here. Organize. Okay, rock, fiber, sap, all of that goes in the shed. Fiber and rock. Let's warp to the blacksmith. Get seaweed and quartz. Keep the lever of mines. Upgrade pickaxe. Payment. You didn't see any ads? Yeah, that happens sometimes. Sometimes Twitch doesn't give ads even when it should. Alright, I'm gonna warp back to my farm. Sell this stuff. And basically go around the map again. At 9 and then again at 10. I'm becoming more adept at going around the map. There's still areas that I'm not quite an expert at. Okay, so nothing for Linus. Nothing, nope, no cutscene here. Yes. Suitable origin theorized. Cutscene in here. Let's go into town. Cutscene? No. Nothing in here, but I can talk to Morrow and Harvey. Space. Warp Mitten to see us. I think that's new dialogue. Nutrition important. Here. My friend's enough. Nah. That's disappointing. Oh well. Cook dinner tonight. Am I friends enough? Caroline only lets her friends enter here. Darn. What's my relationship with Caroline anyway? 1 star. I think that's a 2-star thing, so I'm actually just gonna speed things up a bit. At least branches don't knock you off your horse. Let's see. There we go. Fun fact, it took me until last year to know about this area. Oh hi, good morning, Lavender. I'm glad you came in. I've been meaning to show you this. It's my private sunroom. Like, it's been in the game for a long time, but I just did not know about it being in the game. So, what do you think? It's beautiful. Thank you. I've worked very hard to make it this way. You see, this is my sanctuary, a place where I can always find peace. And it's a perfect place to drink my homegrown tea. Here, let's have a cup. Have a cup? Yes. Delicious. I love to come in here for a fresh cup of tea every day. It's my little ritual. Let me try to explain. I love the art for this cutscene. It is some of the favorite in the entire game. When I'm alone with relaxing tea, my mind is empty and free to wander. Poetry. Who knows what might appear? And I don't have tea, but I do have this drink. I hope that makes sense. It does. Life can be pretty hectic, so having a hobby like this is nice. Caroline might not be a great mother, but she is a good person. Feel free to come here and relax anytime you want, okay? Da. Still nothing for a community center. They're starting to warm up. I'm feeling pumped. Yeah, it's quite warm there right now. I can't talk now. This is my favorite program is on. I'll be baking cookies today. I like to make flower shapes in the spring. Maybe I'll tell you my recipe one of these days. I assume Pam is in here. Yep. But I had one of my caramel partners at Saloon last night go away. I don't think I'm friends enough with Olivia or Victor. Is it Victor or Vincent? But, oh, they're both up. Have any plans today? I think I may continue work on a project I'm in the middle of. Working a corporate job in the city was a different chapter of my life. You used to work for Georgia, isn't that right? Yes, I used to work there. That's what I thought. Mayor Lewis told me. Office job to farmer. What an incredible career change. Work as a stock trader in my free time, maybe 15 hours a week. Must feel so much freer to not be tied up in a corporate office and be able to do the work you love. I'm happy you found your passion, sweetie. Aw, that's sweet. I love Olivia. And technically I could love her. I think she's... Yeah. I could love her, but at the same time, I love her, but not in a romantic way. I'll probably still give her a bouquet anyway. Alright, I already talked to Clint. Over this. Checking community gardening, everything seems to be in good condition. Please, Professor Gunther, sorry to trouble you, but can you please show me where the books on birds are? Certainly, Miss Victoria. Any area of ornithology you're particularly interested in observing or breeding? Ooh, exclamation mark. Glad me out and chat if you're playing the Pokemon community game. So exclamation mark Poketch. Observing, please, in the Ferngill area. Excellent. We'll start with field guides then. A new hobby? That sounds fun. Fun? Hello, Miss Lavender. Miss Victoria, I have one right here. I'll just get it for you. Find us any interest in bird watching? Oh, you're going to laugh. I won't, I promise. Thanks, Lavender. Eloise and I may have got talking about birds. And I may have accidentally told her that I was working on my own birding life list, and now she wants to compare them. You don't have a life list, do you? No. Stream elements! So as you can see, I need to start one, but I can't tell a sparrowlark from a pigeon. Found it. Thanks, Professor Gunther. Okay, guess I'm off to start making lists now. So, anything to donate? Well, not legitimately, Gunther. Sorry to say. Georgia isn't open yet. Let's go here for the buildings. Do you like it here, Lavender? I really enjoy living near the beach. It's so restful listening to waves at night. Nobody in here. in here but can't talk to yet. Polly wants cracker. Am I friends enough? I might be. I am. What should I write sword do about? There. Me human. Yes, sorry, I'd rather you didn't watch my work. It makes me self-conscious. Fair and valid. Oops, wrong place. We want to go to this. I think that's everything for now. I could explore in here more, but I get the impression this would be a long, long thing to explore because, like, look at this. I'll take a look, but... Oh, this is a dwelling. Eek, a human. You must be popular to just walk into people's houses. Well, I kinda am. You're not here to hurt Lexi? Lexi, I'm here to be your friend. Friend? I like new friends. Did Mother send you? Name is Lexi. It is good name. It is my name. What be your name, stranger person? Tell them your name. Hello, Lavender. It is good to meet you, yes. Will you come visit me again, Lavender? Of course. Oh, that's where that is. But I want to go back down there. Thank you very much. Let me back. You're back. I'm very happy to see you, yes. Happy to see you too. Hey, oh, Bearkin. I love the sweetness, yes. Blink. None of these look like they can be picked up. Friends are the family we choose. Yep. How do I get to... Okay, so this side. Chill passageway. Face whatever you're waiting down there. Okay, but I can take it. Dun, 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 dun. Let's go to the stairs, see where they lead. Oh, it's blocked off.
Why is it blocked off?
Oh, you know. Probably some story reason or something. I think I went everywhere. I could technically go up, but I don't
I
think.
switched to DVD.
EBDBs.
EBDBs. DVD.
No, wait. That
Let me
did
know
give
if
me...
DVD is too loud.
Donate. No reward? Huh. Okay, so... Go in
Is
here.
it too loud?
Let me check the audio.
I turned it down.
I think it's acceptable.
Okay.
Ah, hello there, Lavender. I was just loading some more prizes into this machine here. It's a new program I've come up with to help promote spirit goodwill among townsfolk. You included. It's pretty simple. Sometimes when you help out others in town, you'll receive a prize ticket. You can turn them into for rewards. There's some special stuff in there.
That's a cool cutscene.
My only worry is that people will just go after the tickets rather than cultivating a true compassion for their fellow man. I just want to help. Is that so? Well, I'm glad to hear that. Anyway, keep checking the Help Wanted board in town. That's a good way to get your hands on more tickets.
Yo.
Good luck out there.
Why does it look like Cody moves?
Library lucky. No, carry me away, Penny. I enjoy it. Pointing to the airs. Okay, here. Starting out. Do Sophia, can get pointers. And I was pouring his post-garage.
So many.
Speaking of. Ah, it's the new farmer. How are you doing on this fine sunny day? You caught me in the middle of tending to my crops. I'm spreading And some new Jojo fertilizer on my cultivate. I always use Jojo fertilizer. It makes crops stronger and healthier. Oh, I meant to do this in the stream yesterday. I guess well, in the recording yesterday. So you're just starting out on extra stream farm. I have something for you to help you out. I have some strawberry seeds for it. They're heavy farm strawberries have a good reputation in Grampleton and Chesterton. I'll be sending them your way once I have the time. These here crops got me occupied. You have yourself a nice day, Lavender. Go get some dirt on ya. And that gives me a legitimate way to have strawberries a lot sooner than I otherwise would.
Strawberries.
Mm-hmm.
Very decent.
Hey. A friend of a farm. Cat look. Shy at first. Takes a while for him to get comfortable.
Marty, you deserve better than Mayor Lewis.
Mm-hmm. She does. Miss Penny is teaching me how to write in person. She has such pretty handwriting. Yeah, everything about Miss Penny is pretty.
You get a pretty penny.
It's locked.
Yeah, you know, the opposite of unlocked.
Okay, so talk to. Sure is nice having enough armor in this here valley. Keep up the good work, you hear? Imagine there's no cutscenes elsewhere, but I will look. I'll look in the forest again and farm down here. Yep, nothing here. Nothing in here. I gotta say that, like, a lot of terrain I do approve of the changes to, but some of it I'm just not that fond of, honestly. But I accept it, is what I'm getting at. Isn't it? Oh, I wanted to go to this area. There we go.
You're cute.
Mm-hmm. I don't feel so good today. Oh no, Sophia, what's wrong? Oh. Have a star drop key. So sweet. Try to pace yourself soon. Don't burn your mouth. Thank you. Oh, I should check inside the farm. Oh. Cutscene. Because I leveled her up. Hey, you seem a bit out of it. Is everything okay, Boo? I don't think I've met Scarlet. Where is she? Or they, I don't know Scarlet's pronouns. Oh, sorry, I'm just trailing off in thought. You said the doctor prescribed you new medicine? Oh. Is it helping with... Oh. Yeah, I guess it helps. Hey, we'll get through this. I'll visit you 100 times if that's what it is. You always know how to cheer me up. I'll cheer you up, Sophia. Who's that gal? Oh, that's Lavender, the new farmer I told you about. Nice to meet you, Lavender. I'm Scarlet, a friend of this work. Getting into the farming business, it's tougher. I live in Grampleton with my papa. He's over at Marnie's with the truck loading up a bunch of milk and wool. We met during a costume meetup. Grampleton is kind of far away, so it's sort of special when she visits. Okay, she. Shoot, I should run back. He's probably just about done by now. There is an ad break coming in. Aw, okay. Call me later? For sure. Well, it's nice meeting you, Lavender. Nice meeting you too, Scarlet. Hi, boo. Hi, you. Aw, they're cute.
But you're cutest. Though.
Hey. Did you hear anything we were talking about? That seems like a cliffhanger for the ad break, which I have to play now. I'll quote my screen post. Context. Victim. Victims. Go first. Okay. That's it. But you can still go. Again, I'm gonna... Hi Jody, welcome on in. You have the two of us find a solution for our trouble, sending all the love and hoping for the best. Thank you, Jody.
Ow.
So... Oh no. Okay, there we go. Going to GoFundMe and copy links. Copy there. GoFundMe. There we go. There we go. There we go.
Run away. Run.
Run away.
Run away.
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling this. Fuck all over you.
And I know, Jody, that you probably didn't get an ad, but I'm waiting for an ad break to finish, but... Yeah, like... Hoping for the best is all we can really do right now, because, like, we are fighting so hard. Like, we are fighting so hard to try and get to a better spot than where we are right now. And...
It's just we've run out of time.
Mm-hmm. And we've been hitting wall after wall, obstacle after obstacle. I have a negative stat block in real life now, as well as in games. But we're trying. Did you hear anything we were talking about, Sophia? Something about medicine? Well, I was being honest. Alright, let's go. Now cutscene. Sorry, but that's Fisherman's Secret. Still don't qualify for Iridium yet. Oh well. I should set up like some crab pots. They're all going to be the same no matter where I go. I think I've gone in everywhere. Trying to think of any place I haven't gone that's open right now. I went to Robin's. I'll place these on my farm, I guess. Alright.
Come on. These skill checks.
Pixel by pixel, searching.
You might want to run.
Hot. Okay. Pixel by pixel. Pixel by pixel. That might be all I can do right here. We will check.
Oh, fuck off.
This area lags, so I don't like going in here because of the animations. Oh, these stumps regrow. I'll have to keep that in mind and mark it. This one doesn't. No, that's... Okay, this area is lagging bad. So I need to options. Okay, so Grambleton is an area I can access. I think I have to exit to the menu in order to actually set the animations to off. Oh, mod options. Mod options. Days to produce, flower range, flower in, this winter, our honey quality, boost, flowers required, custom bee houses. Okay, so there, high quality, visuals. The particles. Ooh, wormhole. So exclamation mark Pokecatch if you're playing the Pokemon community game. Okay, let's see. Okay, so that did not take effect instantly. Let's see if it kept or if I need to. Visuals. Oh, save and close. There we go. Okay, much better. As cool as the idea of that Better Bee House's aesthetics is, it's crashing the game, so. Okay, now I can actually visit this place.
Give up.
And I know this is a lost wild to me. These will eventually be flowers once they've grown in these specific flower types. And since the crab pots are now there, I'm gonna going to test if these are all regrowables or if this is just uncharted waters that I didn't cut. And I might be missing some. I'm not going every pixel meticulously. My goal isn't to get everything, it's just to begin to get my fishing level up, essentially.
No longer available in Blood Web. Just got it in the Blood Web.
Alright.
I love you.
I love you. Wee.
Whee!
What did I put? Oh, I guess I didn't put a billion in here. Billions are
I love you so much, my honey bunny.
my sugar kitty. There is a next tier.
Do you want some chalky milk?
Oh, please. God, yes.
Okay, after this match, I'll make you some chalky milk. You did wash cups, right? The dishwasher?
I put the cups that were there away, but I did
Oh,
not
okay.
wash anything specific.
Okay. So we do have clean cups put away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Ice or no ice?
Ice. Please.
Of course.
Da, 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 da. This is probably going to be another one day only stream. As in, only one game day, essentially. Let's put the minerals
Yeah,
in
we
here.
gotta cool down the living room. This is gonna be my last match. It's just too hot for no reason. Other than global warming. Also, we'll probably try to squeeze another stream in before the week is over, but mostly we gotta focus on cleaning and packing.
And legal help and all of the stuff.
You're... Nope.
I need a path. There we go. Alright, time to test. Well, not time today, but going forward. Do these respawn, or are they just ones that I did not cut before? Go. Go. Dead center of the area.
Ow! That also scared me. Will someone please finish your dinner, dear? Took its sweet ass time kicking in.
So there. Dun, dun, dun.
Why didn't my sprint kick in? What the fuck?
Let's see. Dun, 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 dun.
Post of fake. Go. Go.
Just checking to make sure. Okay, so it looks like it's a smaller amount than I would like for what I can actually do with that probably is symmetrical, but at the
Got
same
it.
time.
Hook here. Probably hook here.
Ooh, Mungus! Exclamation mark. Poke Hatch if you're playing the Pokemon community game. Three, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Two, three.
Ow.
Yeah, I can do that.
Run away.
So it's three. That's 1, 2. So it's
Hope they find Hatch.
3 base. 1, 2, 3. It's 1 set of 1, 2. So 1. So 1, 2, 3. 2, 2, 3. 3, 2, 3. 4, 2, 3.
What?
5, 2, 3. 6, 2, 3. 7, 2, 3. 8, 2, 3. I think. So 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's 10. 11, 12, 13. That's 13. This is 14, 15, 16, 17. That's 17. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 after the base 1. So that's 1, 2, 3.
New donation from Acid.exe.
Anna! Aww. Acid donated. Aww. Hi! Thank you. Aww. I don't think it actually showed on stream because I think it's below the overlay because I wasn't sure what to layer that one. Oh, there's an ad break just as you. There's an ad break incoming just as you're donating. But. Aww.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. It helps a lot. I'm gonna run that commercial break while I'm...
Excuse me. Wait, I love that. Stop. It's so cute.
Thank you. Nice, Kelsey? Yeah, it is. Kelsey is very nice, too. And I did initiate the ad break in part so that people will not see me cry.
Honey.
You heard the bells? Ah. So 1, 2, 3. So that's 3. 1, 2,
If I'm being honest, I could have done better.
4, 5, 6. There we go. And I'll put these.
Oh.
Girl gets shit is weird and sucky. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like, I'm hoping to be around, obviously. It's just that you never know at this point. Like, if we are, we are. If we aren't, then
We aren't. Yeah.
you know what happened. And like, that's part of the stream is like, oh yeah, you understand? Mm-hmm. Like, it's just like to have one final guaranteed vibe time, to also inform people as best we can, because, you know, like, Twitch does not keep VODs up indefinitely. I don't really have the storage space to upload this VOD. Like, I'd have to delete a VOD that I have uploaded, and I don't want to delete any of the ones I've already got up. And like Twitch only keeps these for a couple weeks, but at the same time, I do upload the VODs to YouTube. It will be on my YouTube. I'll describe things properly, I'll link things properly, and basically go through the process. And like, I'm letting people know across every platform I can. If you give your avatar proofs, you might be able to download and keep for you. Aw, thank you. On that note.
You have to go into your
Yeah.
creator
So,
dashboard.
yeah. A start to that, though, is like modding. Like,
Yeah.
Because I think it's a prerequisite. And there is an ad break, so modding. So mods horde there. And like, you should have been marked as either a mods horde or a VIP anyway, because you are one. I don't know why I didn't have you as one already. So Stream manager. Not something that I want to do. Post manager, I think. Thank you, Red.
You have to click their name and then
Yeah.
like if there's a little plus sign that you
Yeah.
have next to their name.
I'm also gonna add there. Moderator, editor. So I think these save automatically. I think you have editor, Kels, but I'm going to.
Kels not love. Wow.
Well, oh yeah, I said it for the sake of clarity in this case. So I think that's everyone who should have it having it. Oh, I should also. There we go.
Do you want that chalky milk now?
Oh yes, please.
Because I too want chalky milk.
Alright, so that does give potential extra powers that you may or may not see or use or such and so on, but it's there, so yeah. So once stream's done, and absolutely take mod from here once it's done. Well, you can keep, like, I can swap it to VIP or sword, but you deserve to be marked as one of those two. Like, I see, like, let's be real, like, nobody needs to mod for me. Like, I'm a super duper small streamer. I've got automatic mod settings to catch bots and such. I'm actively looking at my chat. I've got a wife who is in chat most of the time who is also a mod. Like I have every reason to not really need to have mods. The mod sword is genuinely just one of the 2 ways that I have. Like, I literally have the command exclamation mark modding. Like, before I had the ability, like, before I had Twitch affiliate, before I had the ability to VIP people, I used mod swords as my way of marking people who are very important. And, like, I honestly see mod swords and VIPs as interchangeable on my channel. Like, some people have mod swords, some people have VIPs. I do leave it to the individual's choice on which they prefer, but like, important people are important people to me and they deserve to be recognized. And like, sometimes I do forget to mark it and sometimes I forget to like adjust it, but at the same time I do try to mark people as being important when they are important, and you are important. Yeah. Just catching up. Once stream done, check mod and download it for you, and thank you. Happy mod feature anyway. All good. You've absolutely modded your VIPs sometimes. Mm-hmm. And I think the ad break is over, so. I do have an internal debate between whether I make these strawberries be a plus or a gigantic square. So there's 24 from the center through. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is 7, 8, 9. 7, 8, 9.
And you did want ice in your chocolate milk, right?
I do. 10, 11, 12. 10, 11, 12. Halfway there. A plus with a gigantic square in the middle. That was 12, right? ADHD. 13, 14, 15. Hey, 13, 14, 15. 16, 17, 18. 16, 17, 18. 19, 20, 21. 19, 20, 21. 22, 23, 24. 22, 23, 24. And that's there. And we've got 2 more directions to expand to make the plus at minimum.
Alright, my love. Here you go.
Thank you, love. I hope that the mic is not picking up the massive gulps that I'm making because
Holy shit!
it's jockey milk made by you. And you gave me a small mug.
Well, yeah. It's the only like clean cups we have right now.
It's hot, gulps are fine. Mm-hmm. We do technically have, like, I did hit the beer mug up.
No. That's half the like carton.
Valid. But yeah, that's almost all of the chalky milk that I had. This is more than I need to do in clearing, but at the same time, I'm not. Oh, did I miss? Yeah, I did miss. Regular milk and chalky powder. Mm-hmm. So 1, 2, 3. Like Nesquik or something? Exactly. 3. And I know there's like, I know that Nesquik is not great, but at the same time, we don't actually have any Nesquik alternatives nearby, at least at our most local grocery shops. I've been looking for alternatives to Nesquik. I have not found any yet. Like, when I find one, I will be swapping from Nesquik. Because, you know, they're extra unethical, even for unethical corporations. It's just that, you know, they're all that's available for chocolate milk in my area. So, like, at least as far as I know, they're all that is available. 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 7, 8, 9. 10, 11, 12, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. There we go. And now we expand the final way. And I think the answer to whether we expand into a square or a plus has been answered by my own tolerance. And I am, like, feeling like I should not be pushing myself to do more than what I am doing, essentially. So, like, I could keep going on customizing my farm essentially forever. Like, I could spend, I don't know, like 10 hours continuously doing it and like a few hundred in total hours just customizing the farm and such to get everything the way I want it to be. Yeah, that's definitely a lot more than I need to, but at the same time, better safe than sorry. Alright, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6. 4, 5, 6. 4, 5, 6. 7, 8. 9, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 13, 14, 15, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 16, 17, 18, You weren't gonna, but you might stream a little later. Well, make sure you're feeling up to it, essentially. Stream elements. No. You don't have the brain power for homework today? Valid. But make sure that means that you have the brain power for stream. Streamer minutes, that's a good name for it. I have lost count. Where was I? Okay. So, like, make sure you have the brain power for stream, essentially. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, there, 10, 11, 12, there, 13, 14, 15, there, 16, 17, 18, there, 19, 20, 21. Okay, so I was almost finished. So there we go. Final 3 this way. Okay, Lectern, all good. Love you both. We love you too. Thank you for all that you do. And it is a lot. Oh, whoops. I actually need this and 2. What's the most apt? It's probably... Yeah, probably brick and torch. Da-da-da-da. And regardless of if I fill up the rest of the square with crops or not, let's have those spots marked to plus it. And now we begin to wrap things up. All right. Gotta go through the entire map again, checking for events. Nothing here. Nothing here. We also gotta go through social. Oh yeah, we need to talk to Bea. little too much lag there. There we go. Probably no cutscene, but we'll check. Yep, no cutscene. Is Baya's cottage open yet? It is. Foraging is a specialty of mine. Someday I'll make you a fresh salad. Oh, please do. Oh wow, zip with this stuff. We'll go down here, check inside. No, pretty sure no cutscene. Yep, no cutscene. Here. No cutscene. Nothing at the beach. Nothing out here. Claire might be at Jojaco, otherwise can't. Sam's stuck inside again. Compared to other characters, Sam is a lazy bum. Not good enough friends with either of them, I imagine. And no cutscene. Can't talk to Abigail yet. Whoops. I can't say that I know too much about Pelican Town. Sorry, I should be going. Claire's staying away from you. Oh, the purple fling over her it smells delicious and it's hot to the touch. Thank you. Jane's hard at work. Howdy, Lavender. Just picking up some supplies. Got a baking marathon planned. Well, if you have to, I guess buying in bulk if Pierre can't provide. There wouldn't be any cutscenes here. There's occasionally cutscenes in here. But there isn't. Hello, Farmer Lavender. Have you come to visit my new friend? Quack. Why is it my last stream ever? Because I'm getting evicted. And after that, I am not sure what life will entail, essentially. We're pursuing all of the things that we can. We're trying to get legal help. We're trying to get a new place. We're trying to get help to move. But at the same time, if all goes horribly wrong, and everything has gone horribly wrong, basically, so far, then this is basically it. Do you know what he is, Lavender? Well, this is the only duck option, so a number or wood duck. Wow, you really know your birds. Ooh, muck. So, exclamation mark, cook a casual. Forward. You've come a long way, haven't you, Mr. Wood Duck? All the way from Road. That's hundreds and hundreds of miles. Eviction is tough. Yeah, it is. You must be hungry. Don't feed him bread. It's really bad for ducks. How's this all making me feel? Not good. Very much not good. You have no idea. Not good. But, I try to keep, I will talk about heavy stuff in my streams, but at the same time, it's me personal stuff, and there is Twitch TOS to keep in mind. And if I shared how much not good I am, it might be a Twitch TOS violation. So by TOS I can't share, and at the same time I'll tell friends, but at the same time I don't really want to share in a very public stream how much not good I am. It's just not good. What about grapes? Can I give him grapes? Sure, grapes are okay. Corn, lettuce, peas, they're good too. I'm pretty sure that's actually true for real life. But it's best if he finds his own food. I'm gonna talk to Dad. He doesn't look hurt, but it's weird for him to be here. Maybe he blew over in a storm or escaped from a bird park. I've gotta go now. Come visit again soon. Just don't bring bread. See you later, Mr. Duck. Oh, and we're going to get an ad break in a minute. I'm not going to be doing much beyond just talking to pretty baby. Ah, hello, Lavender. You're looking very rural today. What is that fragrance you're wearing? Your Tadara, it's unique. And what of it? So I'm gonna stop time. It's nice to have someone to talk to in stressful times. Is there anyone like that for you? Yeah, I've got... oh, nice timing, Nightbot. I've got... there's an ad break about to start, so you might be hit by an ad. So I'm going to type this in case you're in an ad break. Hello, my love. I have a lot friends and often share what I am going through with them. So I do have people to talk to, which helps relieve some of the stress. But obviously, life itself is stressful in ways they can't help me with because my friends are mostly not better off financially than I am. Financially, there we go. You got too hot, so I went in the bedroom where it's cooler. Mm-hmm. I'm just shaking the last of the ice around. One thing I want to do more of is like begin back and free now here at the office. Welcome back. And Ark is a streamer, so I've been so lackluster. Fuzzbot. I haven't been shouting out any of the friends in chat tonight. And this is potentially my last stream ever. Ugh. That's just one of the things for the shout out there. It's a yeah, you've earned it. Like I might even have a command for you. Do I? I don't think I do. I need to set one up. How's the farm? Well, we're trying to progress things essentially, so I think that's all that I can do here. I'm not too concerned about doing everything there. I mostly want to get the content here. Stream elements. Let's see. Who is remaining? Sam. Marlon will be later. Haley Emily, also later. Sebastian, also later. Gus, also later. Abigail. That's okay. Oh, I didn't talk to the dwarf. Let's warp to the mines. Sorry, I forgot to talk to you. I am no spy. And this is where my horse is. So, hopping on. Okay, so... Oh, we've got an event. Hi, Claire. Oh, hello. I'm on my break. This is a screenplay I'm reading. I own too many to count. Have you heard of Ursula's Labyrinth? It's an old thriller movie, but one of my favorites. Each time I read the screenplay, I discover a hidden detail I missed before. I've wanted to become an actress ever since I was a little girl. Oh, so I guess I know what you do when JoJo goes under. I chase that dream every day. Sorry, shift starts again soon. It was a pleasure talking to you. speech and cutscenes. Oh, I should check. You started playing a cozy game playing at Luma Island? Yeah, I've heard. It's on my wish list, I'm pretty sure. Hi, Haley. I've decided you're going to organize your clothes today. I'll have to throw out all of last year's styles to make room for the new ones. Da, 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 da. Oh yeah, Sam. Sam, Sebastian. And Emily. So Emily still locked away. Sam also locked away. I'm going to safely assume Sebastian is too. But I will check. Yep. Yay. Have I talked to Abigail? No, I have not. Previous time. Abigail is still locked in her room. And she's not coming out. Nothing in here. Hi, Elliot. Hello, Lavender. Are you well? Yes, are you? Actually, I'm gonna give you let's speed things up a bit. Aroma is inspiring. Oh, sorry, I bumped the camera. Sophia. Sam. Okay, I can talk to Marlon soon. Emily, Sebastian. Sam, Emily, Sebastian. I can talk to Gus. And Abigail. Okay, there. Da, 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 da. Sam's still playing. Emily should be out by now, right? Nope. Oh, yeah, she's right here. Hope your farming is sustainable. Hey, okay, okay, so it's Sam and Marl. It's Sam, Sebastian. I can talk to Gus. I think Abigail's still inside. Yeah. And that's all there is to say to Gus. I don't think I'm going to be getting a lot of cutscenes until I suddenly do. Sebastian's still inside. I assume Sam's still inside. Yep. Okay. Are they? Oh yeah, I can also talk to Marlon. And Abigail. Once Abigail is out and about, she's not. Or is she? Where'd Abigail go? Abigail, where'd you go? You enjoyed? I enjoyed our chat at Park, even though it's your only Stardew resident I talk to on a regular basis. I live out in the countryside, not many people have their properties too. Mm-hmm. It's working. Sebastian's there. Where's Abigail? I mean, it's showing as them all being still there. But she's not here. Oh. That's why. And also, to save myself some frustration, I can name it this space. Okay, so Sam, Marlon, Sebastian. So it's really taking a beat, and Clint will need to take a look at it. Skilled in his craft. Oh, there he is. The clouds look great this time of year, don't they? Like scoops of vanilla ice cream flowing on blue raspberries. Or maybe I'm just wrong. I should also check on the for any events for her. Although I think her next event is tied to her. Whee! Hi, Sebastian. Stuck into caves last night and got stick out from a rock crab. Don't tell anyone, okay? Okay. That's everyone, right? Foraging, mining is getting there, farming still pretty low. I am friends with everyone. Well, I do have the friends things for everyone. That's why I meant this. I see. So that's where you normally live. Check up here. And in here. And here. And here. And in here. And here. Aw, it's locked. Nothing on the beach. Or here. I want to... Oh my, the sea is symphony of flavors. Thank you. Okay, so... Oh. Oh, this is gonna take a while. I swear that's Chrono Trigger. Lavender? You scared me sneaking into my room like that. So I've been playing Journey of the Prairie King 4 hours and I can't even beat the first level. This game is ridiculously hard. Well, either that or I'm just terrible at it. It's kind of hard, actually. Or at least to do it without getting hit. Hey, do you want to try this level together with me? I think I might do better with your help. Sure. So, WASD, sure. Don't mind me, just power focusing. Hey, we did it. Hey, that was fun. Thanks, Lavender. I didn't think you'd know how to work a joystick so well. Wow, but it seems you're experienced. I will refrain. Going up. Going here. Alright. Nothing in here. Nothing out here. Nothing in the town. Nothing in here. Nothing in here. Nothing here. Nothing here. Nothing here. This is probably the last time I'll be checking. Well, second to last time I'll be checking. here. Nothing in Jota. Nothing in town. Nothing in here. Or the beach. Or Sophia's farm. Or the forest. But there is something in the mountains. Ooh, Luxio! Exclamation mark for the catch. Levener, come stand next to the fire pit. It feels great. I was hoping you'd come by sometime. I wanted to say sorry for mistrusting you at first. Most people don't treat me well, so I've learned to be cautious. But you've been uncommonly nice to me. You're a unique person, and I consider you a good friend. Hey, I want to show you something. Come inside. Ah, there we go. See this? It's a special kind of fish bait I made. It's top quality stuff. I'd eat it myself. Here, I want you to have the recipe. Learned how to craft wild bait. It's there. Nothing in town, nothing up here. Nothing in the salon. Or here. Or here. Or in here. Here, 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 and there is another commercial break, ad break, so like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Oh boy. And I am almost done with stream. Like, I wanted to go for 3 hours. I've been going for 3 hours. I've explained our current situation and what we're going through. And like, on the one hand, it is disappointing that on the one hand, it is disappointing that I haven't been able to like properly say goodbye and such, and to have people be around, but at the same time it's not surprising considering that I didn't tell anyone I was going to do that. There might be another stream this week, but we'll see. Yeah, like, I didn't tell people I was going to be doing this, and it's at a time that I don't, and I haven't been streaming regularly, so like, it's not my normal stream time. I haven't been streaming regularly. I didn't tell people I was going to be doing it. So I don't, and people have been busy, so. It is what it is, essentially, where we basically just have to, like, have this be what it is. Like, this is the stream that you get. It's like, I've had fun, and that ultimately is the most important thing, is that I've had fun. But at the same time, like, I am sorry that I can't provide you better with what might be the last time I ever streamed. And, like, I do wish my title were well and truly clickbait. Like, it's possible it's clickbait, it's possible we end up, like, being fine, but current circumstances are that we're not so fine, so I'm just trying my best and hoping that you can all see me for who I am. Anyway, if you stay at home tomorrow, if you don't work, then you'll be streaming too. Speaking of which, did the bot not work? Okay. I can guarantee hotels are not going to have good internet. Alright, so time. One last look at places, because after midnight, I know nobody is going to have anything. Down here. Nope. Down here, nothing. Over here, nothing. Da, 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 da. Whee. Yeah. And I'll put my stuff away. You know what? Let's have that final send-off. Hey, that's a good way to end, is with that. And like, we are working towards getting things, you know. I will preview the next day, but not play it. And the way previews work is that, you know, I show things around a little bit, but I don't actually sleep the night because, good thing because when you sleep, it ends up basically not working. Like, if you don't sleep, then it doesn't count. Foraging is close to max. And again, will not be playing day 5, but I will show it off. Okay, so day 5 will involve moving my house stuff around. Why did they move my telephone up there? My telephone was way down here, wasn't it? Like, my telephone wasn't blocking the path, was it? Oh well. So, day 5. Renovating my house. Oh. We will be repeating this conversation. We will be going to Baya's Art Fair, 3 to 5. So we will be collecting stuff like this. I'll plant those strawberry seeds. New recipes, new recipes, new recipes. We'll have an easier access to the mines. Da, 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 da. That's all that I see. Oh, maybe. Oh, because Robin finished, we'll add sheds here. Yeah, and I think. You know what? Whoops. I forgot to stop that. You will be foraging and so on and so forth. Farm. Da, 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 da. Whee. I should also like put these, put a path up here. Well, I did kinda, but we'll be harvesting these apparently. You can kind of see the cross now for the strawberries. Let's see. Okay, so crab pots I need to actually put bait in because I haven't. Okay, so now we know all of these regrow. All of those trees, they regrow. The ones down there and up here. Like basically all of them. And I'll have to keep that in mind. There's worms there, but again, this is not a real day. We're not doing the day for real. That transports us back because there's only one real entrance. But anyway, that's it for my stream. And like, I would pass people on, but at the same time, 1, no social battery, 2, limited options for who I would pass it on because most of my friends have ended already. 3, this is potentially my last stream ever, and like, as selfish as it is, I kind of want to keep people on my page so that, like, if they do want to know how to support us, they have that option, and they know how to, and they're around, and that they're not redirected elsewhere. Like, normally I would raid out, but, like, given all of the extenuating factors, today I'm just gonna end. So, like, I am sorry that I'm not going to be passing you along, potentially introducing you to new people, new friends, and so on and so forth. But at the same time, yeah, we wish this title wasn't completely clickbait. That's loud, so I'm gonna swap to the chatting screen and exit the game. And I'm sorry that it's so dark out because, like, again, it's late. We have the lights on because despite it being late, it's hot AF. Like, it's gotta still be in the 80s outside and inside equally as much out here. Like, it is hot. And the less that is on, the lower the temperature is, and like we're just trying to survive the heat essentially. Like, it's hot, we're facing eviction, nothing is going right. Like my job is like, I did actually release a YouTube video explaining it. Like, I should actually quickly make that a command so that people can quickly refer back to it. It is a bit of a long video. I can skip the entire ramble part of it. This is my own video, so it's okay if I'm showing it. Hi, I'm writing this across every platform I can in order to best reach out to everyone and give them the rundown of things. If you don't know me, my name is Bree, aka the Bree System, aka Ranger, aka Mexican 2, and in most places I go by Riku. My elevator pitch for myself is that I'm an autistic, plural, which is medium system, trans woman, lesbian, witch with ADHD. And I'm letting it play while I also set up the command. So, like, the bipolar disorder, anxiety, and numerous disabilities, both physical and mental. I'm 32 years old as of July 23rd, and legally married to the love of my life as of November 5th, 2024. Although, ended. We're still hoping to have a wedding ceremony because we effectively eloped in October of 2026, which is pushed back from the initial plan of October 2025. But I digress. Over my life, I've accumulated my fair share of interests: writing, games, music, song, dancing, poetry, art, webcomics, and more. And I even blogged about a lot of these for over 10 years continuously. Still have that blog, it's just updated less often. I've pursued all of these things as a potential career casually, but never been able to get my foot really fully through the door on anything. So instead, professionally, I've been a lifeguard, and later an aquatic lead, which is formerly called a lead lifeguard, my entire adult life, for nearly 11 years. Minus 1 year missed due to COVID, so like last 12 years since I was 20. In online spaces, I'm mostly known for my support of nature. I bring joy and positivity to the spaces I choose to inhabit, give my time, energy, and support to friends, loved ones, and even relative strangers who I happen to share space with. In my mind, everyone I talk to is a potential future friend, because every friend I have ever had, I got from talking. We just talk, and that's how we vibe together. So, like, talking has been my one skill above all skills my whole life. I share memes, I make silly wordplay jokes, I just vibe with folks. And I provide my presence and provide that source of constant engagement, and, when I can, encouragement. I talk about my passions, my interests, my life, and I listen to them talk about theirs. We find common ground, we talk about shared experiences, and I find their stories fascinating, and I'm pretty good at remembering what they tell me too. Like, obviously not perfect, but I'm still pretty good at remembering what people tell me. You're often surprised at just what I remembered that they shared, but, like, I remember. I just always have. And whenever people run into issues they want advice on, I give what I can. Like, I can just listen to them, I can problem solve for them, I can provide perspective, and, like, whenever people are down, I just provide that. I help people see the best in them, even when they can't, and I provide ways for them to recover and rebuild and to keep going forward. And, like, sometimes when I feel it's helpful, I give my life perspective to share that they're not alone, and I give them whatever guidance I can, and I'm pretty good at doing that. And in many ways, I'm both a teacher and a counselor/psychiatrist/healer, like, call it whatever you will, but, like, I help people. I give them that education and that healing. I give them a way of reframing their life in a way that encourages healthier mindsets and potentially provides them a path forward in life. And I do all of this just because it feels like the right thing to do and the thing that I want to do. And one of the main ways I tend to share these things is through small daily reminders and giving little tips and tricks with what I call my daily check-in. Speaking of daily check-ins, I do want to actually add them to my Twitch channel, but again, it's a future project because right now just aside, that's all that can really be said. I started them to encourage everyone to check in daily to let people know they are alive and okay, and I chose to encourage engagement with those daily check-ins by providing small boosts to the day. Little things which can shed perspective on all their negative self-talk and allow for fighting against their weaknesses and building on their strengths, to basically give them something to talk about in a good way. And I want to share those with a wider audience than what I have, so I'm working on expanding to other media. I eventually want to make a year-long calendar and/or a year-long prompt journal, which I feel like would be something that people would get a lot of good use out of. As soon as I could possibly do that, mind you, is like December 2025, because I need a year's worth of daily check-ins, and I started them in November of 2024, well, midway through November of 2024, and I can only provide them when I'm both alive and okay, and there's been a few days that I haven't been, and there's also been a couple of vacations in that time, so I'm missing like maybe a month or two, so December 2025, January 2026, that area is about the soonest I could possibly have a full year's worth, but as soon as I have a full year's worth, I want to make those things. But one thing I can do immediately is I've begun plans on making a series of 44 card Oracle decks, because well, each deck would have 44 cards, which is 44 affirmations, and I have a whole lot more than that. I have probably in the range of 200-ish, like not a full 300, I don't think, but solidly 200. So I can make a few months worth of Oracle decks, and that would help basically give people a way to effectively dish out their own daily affirmation for themselves. I've also turned these daily check-ins into a webcomic, and I occasionally record videos of my daily check-ins. I even have made a subreddit dedicated to providing them, and I've added a tag for daily check-ins on the subreddit for my presence as a content creator. So I'm gonna actually plug that right now. So, like a lot of these things that I talk about in this video, I do actually want to incorporate like cross-network, like, hey, put links to them in my Twitch chat with commands, timers, etc. And to have them be referencing my Twitch channel stuff and to connect everything to everything. Like, I need to make a command for the webcomic and the daily check-ins and so on and so forth, and to add them and so on and so forth and so on. Like, basically all of the stuff, like, I want to do, I just haven't had a chance. But, like, I digress. I'm going to, like, continue playing my own video. Like, the full video is 43 minutes, but about half an hour of that is me rambling on my novels, so, like, I'll be skipping that part, but I will be playing the rest of this, so. And speaking of which, obviously, since you're watching this in video form, you know that I am a content creator. I create videos of all kinds. On TikTok, I primarily post meme posts and wordplay data, which is just wordplay which I think of, and I've been sharing that with friends for years. And
your wife for a year.
Yeah, and I've been posting it on TikToks more recently. On YouTube, there's a much larger variety. Like, I post blogs, which I think this one is technically going to be counted as. I talk about passion projects. I provide longer uplifting messages. I educate people on subjects I'm familiar with, particularly plurality. I provide unedited, longer form recordings of gameplay for games. And I perform the various songs I've composed, because, like, I do write. Well, I've written hundreds of songs, so many songs, and I've performed quite a few of them. And other things I do include that I stream on Twitch, and I do upload the boss streams VODs to YouTube. I'm a variety streamer, technically, but lately I have been pretty much exclusively playing cozy farm games that are like Stardew Valley, Disney Dreamlight Valley. Those are the big two recently, but there's also Minecraft, Fields of Mysteria, Sunhaven, etc.
I make the occasional appearance.
Yeah, and besides cozy farm games, I primarily play RPG games, but I also do one-off story games and childhood nostalgia games. I also stream both art and my novel writing process. And on that note, my current novel, Records of Farm, has its own elevator pitch. 1 second, the kinds of high school hijinks, shenanigans, skip parts of what an anime would be. But I made be written by me for that work, because I left it to be open so that others could write for Farm after the Descendant, and past webcomic of mine, is sizable. And I've been writing stories since I was 13, and that has led to all of that passion, all of that support I give others, and all of so, and released dozens in the series. And like all of this, like all of these ideas, all of that creativity, all of that passion, all of that support I give others, and all of the love, kindness, education, resources, and so on and so forth I provide, all of that joy and all of that positivity, all of that potential is in jeopardy, because I myself am in danger
technically 15 minutes left, but I'm playing this at 2.
The desperation thereof.
And like my work recently
two
made
times
policy
speed, so
changes,
it's
which
7
in effect
minutes
removed
left.
accommodations for my disabilities. My work already strains me above 25 hours per week because, like, again, I am disabled.
Yeah. Like, I talk about this in the video, but like I am disabled. I would qualify for legal disability if I had the ability to actually go to a doctor, but I don't because we have no insurance and I couldn't afford the copay, even if we did. And the reason we don't have any insurance is our insurance hiked our rate from $150 a month to $550 a month, which I couldn't pay. So basically, I have been screwed over for so long.
I struggle to work the quote-unquote normal amount, and removing the parts of that routine which made it bearable is exhausting me to the point where I might genuinely collapse at any given moment. Like, there's just not close calls. And on top of that, I've been given extra job responsibilities without any extra pay for the compensation of the increased workload. Like, we're having a lot of people leave. I wonder why. It's because these new policies suck. And because a lot of the people are leaving.
Yeah, and I actually learned after I made this video, there's another person leaving. Like, I am going to be the only aquatic lead at my facility. We had three. One of them, I think by now, has already left. The other one is in the process of leaving. And he don't even have a finalized job offer. He's just leaving and applying for things. Gee, I wonder why. It's because work is just that terrible, because the policy changes were that terrible. Nobody wanted them. Not even my bosses wanted them. But my bosses also are, like, not handling their employees the best on their own. But at the same time, like, some of it is stuff that they're being forced to do and they don't want to do. Some of it is just stuff that they're doing on their own without realizing how bad it is. But it is so bad now. So many people are leaving. And like they're trying to hire new people as if hiring new people will fix the problem. It ain't gonna. Like, I have been very, very much fighting my workplace about this. And yes, fighting my workplace is one of the things exhausting me. Fighting my workplace, fighting against my apartment complex, fighting against all of the things that are going wrong. And it's all adding up on top of each other. So
Thing that is increasing the stress on those who are remaining. So I'm doing more work with less accommodations for my disabilities and getting no increase in my pay or benefits from it. So just my one job, now averaging closer to 36 hours in a week, a full 10 more than I can
And it's
realistically
still
handle,
not enough.
even with accommodations, while having those accommodations removed and doing extra work for no extra pay, is genuinely pushing my body and mind past breaking. So, like, I may not make it
Yeah,
if my job conditions
and,
don't
like,
improve. And it
today
is worse.
was
Despite all the
very
above, my
brutal.
job does not cover the cost
I
of
was
living.
so
It does not cover
tired.
even close. Like, me and my wife are both employed at soul-sucking jobs, which are taxing us beyond our breaking points because we both have disabilities. And despite having 2 jobs, we still aren't even making even close to enough to
Yeah,
survive.
we have
And despite how our
basically
current jobs
zero
would already
money in
kill
our
us,
bank
we're
right
looking
now.
for second, even third jobs to get like 4 to 6 sources of income.
I think
because
it's
that's
like
what we need
less
at the
than
moment.
100.
Our apartment illegally
Definitely less than
upped our rent
200.
by $100 last year without any notice. They gave no 30-day notice, no 60-day notice, no notice months in
And
advance.
I need
No email.
gas.
We learned about
so
it when we
like,
went to renew our lease. That's when they.
When we looked at our rent.
Yeah, that's when they
After I
mentioned
spent
the price increase. When they
$50
gave
on
us the paperwork to
gas.
renew.
Oh,
our
this lease. Yeah, this lease.
Yeah.
They gave us the paperwork.
Yeah,
That's
and
basically
when
all
we
we
renewed our
have
lease,
left.
we went from having all utilities except power included for free to being charged for every utility.
To be
Garbage,
fair, I
sewer,
do get
water,
paid this
trash.
week.
All of that was previously free, but now is adding an additional couple of $100 in cost.
Yep.
And excluding power and internet, which together are an additional $300 or so, our monthly rent went from around $1,700 to $2,000 a month. Without any notice, without any advance warning, it increased by that amount. Our first indication of what we would be paying for the next year was when we were charged for the utilities, was when we got our first monthly bill after we renewed our lease. And that extra $300 in rent has been slowly building up to drown us to a point where we can't keep up. And last month was finally the breaking point where we had
You left a scathing review of your last job on Google, and you could and should have gone an eye for an eye and blasted them more, but or gone on to a news company. You don't think people would have taken you seriously, though? Yeah, like, it is a valid choice to move on. And like, as much as I am fighting for basically my ability to exist, if I were to actually get into a situation where like I am okay, I would honestly just not be spending the time and energy to fight the injustices that I had gone through. Like, what would the point be? Like, would I get like $1 million settlement? I don't think so. Like, if I thought that there was a tangible benefit that outweighed the emotional and energy and mental turmoil of pursuing things, I would. I would. Oh, one thing I also need to do. I need to work on my sub badges. Like 1.5 years. Like there should like we're coming up on having 2 available, and I don't think I've made 2 yet. That's the ADHD. But like to be like on that like to talk about that more basically if I were to like have the ability to survive, I would not be fighting all of the stuff. I would just be focusing on living my life. And like, unless I thought that there was a huge tangible benefit to like I am to some extent just kind of that selfish where I would not want to invest the time and energy into it just because it's quote unquote the right thing to do, the moral thing to do, because of the injustice of it. Like, if I am able to survive, then I want to focus on living my life. Hey there, I hope you're okay. Yeah, not really. You lost your opportunity at repercussion or to sue or whatever. You tolerated your boss for paycheck for verbal agreements in advance and scenario. Yeah, like basically, like I'm of the mindset where like when I'm desperate, last stream ever, yeah, that's because like I'm just gonna snooze the it's the reason for that is like situation like I'm what like I like basically it's both potential clickbait but also potential not clickbait. It like it it's probably the last stream at this place, and if we don't get a new one then it might be the last stream ever because like my work is overworking me to the point of where I could collapse. My apartment is in the process of evicting us. We need help, legal help. We need if we do get a place where we can move, we need help moving. And we have all of the things that need to not go wrong, and if they go wrong, then this is it. And that's why I wanted to do a stream of just having a cozy game, is to like have basically a final bit of fun before the deadlines were under hit, because like we don't have much time left. Like, we've been talking about how bad things have been going, and like I try not to like oversell or undersell it, but like realistically speaking, I have been underselling just how bad it is for us. Like it's not good. Like I'm disabled, my wife is disabled, we're suffocating. We're being pushed under, and we're being bullied, and we're being like harassed, and like we're fighting, and we're fighting as hard as we can, and we're fighting things that are injustices we're undergoing, and we're fighting all of the things that we're undergoing. But at the same time, we are in a position where if things don't work out, then this could be it. And that's just the reality we are living in. So like I'm playing like just the audio of the video that I have
Nothing
in
to pay.
command.
In July, we had a $2,000 bill we had to pay, and we didn't really have the money to, but we had to pay it anyway. And that was our rent money. And since we had to pay the bill, we had nothing left for rent. And that means that now we've received an eviction notice. We have through August 7th to pay the rent,
So
which
today.
is today. And that's at least $2,000, but potentially $4,000, or we get evicted on August 12th. And we've been pursuing every aid resource.
And we did get the August 12th date pushed back to August 18th. But that's it. That's all we got. We're truly facing homelessness in a country where homelessness could be illegal just for being homeless. Yep, basically. And like we we've been hitting every wall of bureaucracy. We've been exhausting aid resources. We've been exhausting all of the things just to survive. And it hasn't been enough. Like, we are not making it. And like, I know that is terrifying, especially for others, but like, that's what we're going through right now. And we're fighting so hard to try to live and to make it and to improve our situation, to not be drowning like this. And like, we are close to maybe pulling it off, but we don't know if we will be able to do it in time. Like, we've still got bills to pay. Like, our first car payment is due on the 22nd, and we need at least $600 in the bank account for that. Dangerous situation because people could have been armed for the homeless legally and now are being cornered with nowhere to go. Yeah. Dog, as much as we love him. Possible. No, yeah.
But we've hit walls every step of the way. We hit walls on food stamps and navigating the bureaucracy. And that's just the beginning. Like, we would qualify for being legally disabled and get the benefits from being legally disabled if we could actually afford to go to the doctor, but we can't. Like, my health insurance at the end of last year upped my monthly rate from $150 a month to $550 a month, a $400 increase I couldn't pay. So because I couldn't pay for that $550 a month for health insurance, I've been without health insurance all year long. And even if I had it, I probably wouldn't even be able to afford the co-pays. So we kind of been catch-22, price gated out of qualifying for disabilities. Like, if we could afford to see the doctors and receive the care, then it would be shown medical intervention isn't enough to make us fully functioning members of society, that we are in fact, by the legal standard, considered disabled. And that would open up the resources of disability to us, including the disability checks and such. But we can't afford the doctors, so we can't get those resources, but those resources would likely enable us to afford doctors. So we're trapped, locked out of receiving the care we should legally qualify for, we just can't get it. And housing resources have largely given us no leads. We've pursued cheaper housing and programs to largely no effect. We've tapped just about every resource left, and we have nothing left. And all of this builds on top of each other. My job exhausting me, trying to navigate the bureaucracy of receiving aid exhausts me. My own body exhausts me. Hunting for cheaper housing is exhausting. Driving is exhausting. Everything is adding up to breaking me, and if I do break, there's no fixing me after, because there's no going back after that. And all of the ideas I have, all of the creativity, all of the joy, all of the positivity, all of what I do, all of the good I ever could do, all of the passion,
including streaming,
all of that is on the verge of disappearing forever, and
which is
being
why
permanently
this
gone,
could be
permanently lost
the
to the
last
world.
stream ever.
And that's why this is essentially a final call for aid. After this, I have nothing left to ask for. And I do have tangible answers to the question of what can you do to help, because there's actually quite a lot. You can directly send items or food to us, either directly through Throne, which has surprise gifts enabled, or if we trust.
And Throne isn't the best resource. It's it's a resource, but it's not the best resource. The better ones are the Ko-fi or Coffee, however you want to pronounce it, and our GoFundMe, which I think I still have it under the wedding like I'll need to redo that command, but let's see if I have GoFundMe. I doubt it. I doubt it. But that's what you can. But you can pull up the support exclamation mark support command for those. Like you can spread the word. Like I've put the situation on my blog, on webcomics, on my webcomic. I can let me actually pull that up. So let me go to Comic Theory. You think you just bought the CC6? 07. So by the way, this putting the link in chat at daily check in webcomic. But I'm going to also pull up the blog. And this is the same video, the same thing as in the video, just in blog form. It's also on my blog. So like,
soon enough we can DM you our current address for as long as we have it.
Which won't be for much longer.
And you can spread the word, like share this video, share the post version of this in video form, however you can.
So like, share this. So available on the blog. Share in other forms like Blue Sky, etc. Spread the word.
Anywhere and everywhere. All of the links will be in the description for this video. And like, you can advocate on my behalf to any agency you think will listen. You can share agencies with me you think that I can go to, like legal agencies, which might take me up as a client for the illegal things I've been enduring. Like, there's been like 3-4-ish things where
Our main thing is his apartment complex, though.
yeah, like they put us out on August 12th, and like we might be able to
Delay it, have legal help.
yeah, and we need like that legal resource of aid, of like working out something in court with the apartment. And like,
So honestly, if we move before then, we don't care.
yeah,
But until then,
Yeah.
and like other things could be like like sharing his pitch to an agent or manager who you think might believe in me and my vision, such that they're willing to take a chance on me and give me the resources to set me up for success, and who actually believes I can create what I say I can. And like any aid programs that you think could potentially work with me, jobs which you think could work with us and our disabilities, like ideally remote work, which pays a significant amount, but also stuff local to the area.
Also,
like
I'm
any fundraising organizations or individuals who might be interested in campaigning for us, because we do have ways to donate to us, or even just directly plugging how to support us. Like, you can support me through Twitch subs and bits, albeit a little payout for me. You can donate to my Ko-fi or Ko-fi or Coffee, however you want to say it. You can even commission me on Ko-fi, because I do have commissions open there, like for products that probably aren't of interest to many people, but they are technically there as something you can have a tangible return on your investment in me if you want it. Like, nobody has commissioned me, but you could be first. And then you can directly donate to our GoFundMe or encourage others to donate to our GoFundMe, and like continue to spread the word to others. And like, I'll include a list to all of my links in my card. And like, a potential thing, like I already have affiliate on Twitch, so I already have monetization on Twitch, but like you can subscribe and watch my content and watch ads on Twitch when I stream, and potential monetization of TikTok and YouTube. Like, I could be like quote unquote professional content creator. Like, not very likely, mind you, but again, like, any bit helps.
Speaking of
for the word of my needs, for the word of things I've gone through, what I'm hoping to do, what I'm already doing.
one of the things that could actually help me is reaching the $50 threshold. I'm at like 43-ish, so like I would only need like 700 bits or like 3 subs, and that would actually get me to the $50 mark and could help me prove to a potential apartment complex that, hey, I do actually make money from Twitch. Because like this year I haven't been streaming as much as I did last year, and it's showing in how infrequently I've gotten Twitch payouts. So like, that was another reason for the stream, is to like, I should have honestly like promoted this more and said more about it, but like, if people do sub to me and do give me bits, and it doesn't have to be online, and it can be offline, like if people sub, if people give bits, that can actually help me right now, because like Twitch income is something that apartment complexes accept as a valid form of extra income beyond my job. And like my job is questionable on if it's enough to get most places. So that little bit of extra can push over the edge and actually get it to where I actually qualify for the apartment. Like any little bit helps. And like I can't use donations because they're not accepted in ways that are like anything that I can really show. But Twitch is something that I can show. So like Twitch is a valid resource for showing it, but I'm like $7 short of my next Twitch payout, give or take. Might be 8. So like it's in that realm.
Tell people about me in any way, shape, or form you can. Like apartment hunt in the area, job hunt in the area, and like anything you can do, any bit of time, energy spent on me makes a difference because I am running out of time and like I have so much to offer the world, but I just need help surviving in it. Thank you.
And like that's it. That's basically what we're going through, and like I wish it were better, but at the same time, like that's what we've got to work with essentially. Like things are not good, and we're trying, and like I'm trying to like be me through it all. I'm trying to remain in the positive person I am, to find the silver linings, to pivot, to be open to other options, to find plans and backups for the backup plans, and to make those plans work and all of that. But it's not easy and it's not enough. So thank you all for coming. Like you have been the greatest gift that I could ever ask for, and like my entire journey has been one where I have felt incredibly blessed and incredibly loved, and it really only started a couple years ago, and we hope to see you all again soon. We do. And like there might be one more ad break that plays because like I'm taking too long to wrap up. So if it hits before then, I am sorry, but basically like yeah, there it is. So I'm gonna play that one commercial, one final commercial for the channel. Probably don't get any ads from it, so like most people are probably not going to get ads because like ads on my channel seem to be almost non-existent. Ad revenue certainly isn't there, so like if they're playing ads, I'm not really getting the benefit from it, which, you know, your brother thoughts I can do is sharing matters. Sharing is actually very important. Like there's the whole you sharing might not make it to someone who can help, but what if someone you shared it with shares it, and that person shares it, and then from that someone who can help sees it, and like that's where we're at, basically, where like often it's not the first round of sharing that is getting me the help that I have gotten so far. It's like third or fourth round, and it's still never guaranteed, and like any little bit gives us a higher chance. Like I wish that we could guarantee, but at the same time, it does add up. Like, it does matter, and it is appreciated. And like after the ad break is over, I'll go into that fully again. Like, I don't think anyone really is going to be getting ads. Like, I don't get any real ad revenue, so like if people are in ads, I'm not seeing the benefits, even though I theoretically should be getting the benefits. Like, people should people should be getting ads, and because like nobody is subbed to my channel except for one person who has always subbed, and I'm not going to name them on. Like, I could name them on stream because I know who it is, but at the same time, it's their place to share, and I don't remember if they've actually shared on stream, so I'm not going to name them at the moment. But like, nobody's subbed, so like, everyone in theory should get ads, but at the same time, I kind of doubt Twitch is actually putting the ads, because that would mean they would actually have to give me a share of those ads. So like, oh well. But if anyone was actually in ads, they should be over now. So like, to continue talking about it and wrapping things up, like, it basically wasn't until a couple of years ago that I actually started feeling alive and living life. And like, I don't want to like, positive healing is looking at the past and realizing I've always been who I am now. Like, so I'm not going to say that I wasn't who I am now before 2 years ago, but at the same time, it took me until about 2 years ago, and in the last 2 years, to come to a place of healing and to recognize who I am and live it authentically, and to be me full time, and to live as me full time, and to live that life. And like, all of the people who have been with me and stuck with me and who I have vibed with are part of what has gotten me this far in just being me. And like, nothing will ever take away that the growth, the good times, and all that it has been accomplished in those 2 years. And like, I wouldn't change it, even though it has led to like the worst of it has led to us being in our current situation, but the best of it has been building the space, building the vibes, building a place, building in my presence, building who I am as a person, pursuing all of the things I have, and like, all of the times I've been there for people. And it's all things that I've been incredibly blessed with. And whatever happens, I just wanted it to be known that like, I remember everything, essentially. Like, even through my horrible ADHD, where I forget what seems like everything, for the things that truly matter, I remember everything. And like, you are the things that matter. You are the people that matter. All of you. So like, I'm going to say it one more time because like, it's been a while. So like, well and truly, like, thank you for everything you have done, and it has mattered, and it has made a difference. Like, we would not have gotten this far without help. Like, even if it ends up not being enough, it was enough to get us this far. And I've in the last few years, I felt more love than I have in my entire life, and it it's just everything that I have ever wanted, and well and truly, thank you all. So I'm going to be ending here again.
We genuinely hope that we
Mhm.
can have a new stream,
Mhm.
like in a new spot.
But for now, like, that's it. No raid tonight because of the special circumstances, but thank you all. Have a wonderful night, and I truly hope to see you again.
And if you want updates, please keep up with
Mhm.
Breeze, Blue Sky, and
Yeah.
Discord.
And socials in general. And, like, I truly hope that this isn't a final one, but, like, in case it is, or no matter what, goodbye.
Bye.